Hello and welcome to the series of drug information videos. This is the second in the series in relation to cocaine. Last week we covered cocaine production, and week we're going to talk about cocaine trafficking. So how they get cocaine from where they produce it to where they sell it? And obviously we're here in Europe, so we're going to focus on the European market, as cocaine is the most consumed stimulant in Europe, and it accounts for a retail market value of something in the region of 5.7 billion every single year, which amounts to 91 tons a year being consumed. Cocaine worldwide in 2016 reached something in the region of 1,129 tons, and it's actually the second most seized drug in Europe after cannabis. But the three main producer countries that we discussed in the previous session are Bolivia, Colombia, and Peru. And like we said previously, Colombia is still the largest, reaching an all-time high in 2016 of 1,410 tons, which is largely driven, analysis says, due to peace with FARC and the improved production methods that allow for more efficient production of cocaine. So the journey, how does it get from Colombia, Peru, or Bolivia to the markets in Europe? So cocaine is shipped from Latin America through European vessels departing from Brazil or Ecuador or Venezuela as well, which has become an increasing distribution access point. Increased use of Brazil reflects the growing importance of Bolivia and Peru in terms of its access. And then Venezuela has become important as Colombian drug lords move cocaine overland, and there's quite porous, I suppose, border patrols between the two countries. And Venezuela then has a strong maritime presence with the Caribbean islands close to it, which allows for the movement of cocaine into Europe. It can also be trafficked as well, of course, by air, and that does happen either directly into Europe or via the Caribbean and indeed Africa. The two main, I suppose, areas through which cocaine shipments transit en route to Europe are first the Caribbean, where the Dominican Republic and Jamaica are the main hubs. And from the Caribbean, the cocaine is generally shipped via the Azores by air, or direct flights, or through a variety of different transport points, but still maritime being the largest option. Other major transit areas include the West African mainland and the neighbouring islands of Cape Verde, Madeira and Canary Islands, which I'm sure will surprise many. And from West Africa, cocaine then is transported onwards to Europe by air, via sea or land routes, and transport to North Africa is often taking advantage of pre-existing cannabis routes, which are already a strong routes or trafficking routes in Africa. So trafficking of cocaine then appears to mainly come through in Europe, through the southern countries of mainly Spain and Portugal in the south, and then in terms of ports and the maritime traffic, the Netherlands and Belgium in the north. So, but it is estimated that together, Spain, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, and Italy, again all coastal countries, account for around 4/5 of cocaine seized in the EU in 2014. So that's quite a significant amount of the cocaine that comes into Europe is via those avenues. I suppose in the past few years, seizure data suggests that there's also the emergence of a southeastern Europe transit route, taking advantage of existing heroin transit routes, and there's even discussions around that there could be a possible Balkan cartel emerging in that part of the world. The European countries reporting, I suppose, the greatest number of interceptions, which kind of gives us a sense of what's actually coming into the country in 2013, were the Netherlands and Spain, followed by France and Portugal, and then UK, Italy, and Germany, and Belgium. But this may be, I suppose, a reflection of the quality of interception and detection that happens in those countries. Cocaine couriers come, I suppose, from many countries, with couriers and couriers being people who physically carry it, but generally they come from 100 different countries, nationalities across the globe in Europe, but generally nationals of the intercepting country are the main people that are carrying it. So if it's coming into Ireland, it's generally an Irish person. If it's coming to France, it's generally a French person, and so on. So that's how it gets into Europe. Like I say, we're thinking about Venezuela, we're thinking about Brazil, we're thinking about the Caribbean islands, we're thinking about West Africa, and now the emergence of the Balkan Eastern route into Europe and into the European markets along the way. But I think, as we think about it often, when you look at the countries that cocaine has been transported, it's often poorer countries where there's exploitation of people. While in poorer countries, people are often in poverty, and in fact, whole communities are often exploited as part of the transport of cocaine across Europe. And again, even in those careers that we spoke about, often those are vulnerable members of our community that are exploited to transport cocaine. So when you're consuming your cocaine in Ireland, I think it's important to note that when you are consuming cocaine, you are part of an ecosystem that exploits people and exploits people in poor and vulnerable situations. And I think it's something that's important that we focus on in relation to cocaine. So next week we'll talk a little bit more about cocaine and about how exactly it is transported and how it reaches the tables of nightclubs and homes across Ireland. So thanks very much for tuning in. Stay tuned for our next session next week. And remember to stay safe, stay well, and stay connected. And if for any information, feel free to get in contact with us via our DMs or via DEPS at limerickcitycdp.ie. Thank you.